My name is Larry. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm a victim of judicial corruption. And the judicial corruption goes back a long way, longer than I realized when it was going on. In fact, when it was going on, you don't realize it. I didn't realize it. During what was generally a business dispute, a judge forced the resignation of my lawyer without telling me. It was a secretly forced resignation of my lawyer, and appointed a lawyer for the other side without the permission of the already representative of the other side. And I didn't understand all that. I had never been in court without a lawyer and didn't understand what my rights were, nor what was actually happening. And I think that's the message that I'm conveying today, is that most people do not understand what goes on in the courtroom, and that's why it goes on. The judges speak their own language. The lawyers, who are also members of the same fraternity, the Bar Association, is a private organization and not a government organization, and they seem to control the law anyway. And when my lawyer was forced to withdraw from my case, I simply said I would get another lawyer, and I found out that that wasn't possible. There was also a mysterious and secret boycott against me, and none of the 50 or 75 or 100 lawyers that I attempted to hire would accept my case. I didn't understand it then. I do understand it now, but it's an unwritten matter between the judges and the lawyers, and the details are rather difficult for me to cover in a few minutes that I have. But it became impossible to get a lawyer. So the end result of that episode was that I took 4 years to learn the law and be able to represent myself. 4 years that was very enlightening, but not very productive. The case which started in that case, which started in 2004, approximately, is still going on. I have not been able to get a hearing. I've not been able to perform discovery, and I can't even acquire jurisdiction from the federal court, where I have taken it and filed a new suit. Excuse me. I didn't understand until later that the judge who forced the withdrawal of my counsel had been the beneficiary of a $5,000 bribe from the lawyer that he then appointed to represent my opponents. Ultimately, no matter what motions or actions were filed, and there were lots of them, all went against me. There was never a hearing. There was a summary judgment against me, and that is and after the summary judgment and after the hearings were not held, I was noticed that I was going in for damages hearing after the fact, and I didn't understand that, but it seemed suspicious. So I went to the disciplinary council of the Supreme Court, which handles matters of judicial discipline, and they refused to take a complaint from me because that judge had beaten them the previous year in a sexual harassment case. That was what they said. And they did warn me not to go to the hearing, which was a few days hence, without a lawyer. And I said, okay, I can't get a lawyer, but I have to go to the hearing or I'll probably be in contempt or something. I went to the hearing and I managed to get 2 lawyers to go with me. And when they introduced themselves, the judge told them to sit down and shut up. They couldn't represent me. And he then had signaled the 4 deputies that were in the courtroom at the time when I entered to arrest me, and he put me in jail. For 10 days. While I was in jail, incommunicado, unbeknownst to me, my son was contacted and told that he could get my 10-day sentence shortened if he would get into my home and remove some furniture and deliver it to the parties on the other side of the case. And when the judge received a receipt that the furniture had been delivered, I'd be released. Well, I was released 4 days later without my furniture. Though that was extortion, the judge did it with impunity. There were people in the courtroom witnessing it. There was no record kept of the hearing because there was no hearing. There were a lot of things like that. That's a highlight, but I can go into several other highlights having to do with that judge and another judge. I filed 1 lawsuit myself. The others I was defending. And when I filed the lawsuit myself, the judge who I drew, I found out that the clerk's office was, the computers were fixed to get certain judges applied to certain cases, even though they said that it was a random selection. So the judge's office mate, the bad judge's office mate, Judge Sheward was his name, his office mate was assigned to the case that I filed against the other side. And during the course of that case, I was declared by him, without due process, to be a vexatious litigator. A vexatious litigator is not allowed to file any actions, even in defense. So that vexatious litigation is usually reserved for prisoners who have nothing better to do than to harass judges. And I wasn't in that class. I was just bothering the system, and I might have revealed some of the corruption that was going on had I been able to get a hearing. So I was, after being declared a vexatious litigator and not being able to obtain counsel, I was pretty well out of the loop, and learned, though, however, that I could file suits in the federal district court, which had offices in Columbus, in my hometown, as well as in Cincinnati, where another branch was located. So I filed a lawsuit in Cincinnati in December of 2010, on December 30th, December 2010, and that case is still not assigned to a judge. In fact, the Cincinnati office transferred that case, allegedly, illegally, to the Columbus office where they could handle me, I guess. But in so doing, they changed the number of the case. They removed the state of Ohio as a ex-rel party. I don't want to get too esoteric, but that was important. It meant the state of Ohio had an interest in the case. But they removed that. They changed the name of the filer and the date of the filing, and pretty well decimated the case. And it has still, I've filed several motions trying to get it not reinstated, but back where it belongs. And all those things are public record, and I have filed objections to the transfer, the alleged transfer. I have filed motions for hearings, etc. I went to the Court of Appeals for the Federal District and filed a mandamus action. I have been in every court in Ohio that it calls itself a court, and I have yet to be heard on any matter of any of these series of events. I'm very keenly aware of the corruption of the court system. I'm pretty well convinced that you're not going to be able to change it very well, because people are basically corrupt. If there's money involved, they will be corrupt. If there's a threat to a fellow judge, the other judges are going to circle the wagons, and you're not going to be able to get your message out without paying tribute to the Bar Association members. And there's a lot more I could go into, but my time on this interview is limited, so I think I'll ask if there's any questions.